Perfect. So welcome everyone to community call number 13. This is the last community call of the year. We're excited to have everyone here. It's really been a busy year for us and we want to finish strong. So we're going to have some fun stuff to talk about. This is a call that we try to run every month. It's really an opportunity for us to talk directly with the community and have Superfluid developers share what they're building on, and also share anything that they're feeling or any questions they might have about the protocol and the future of it. So with that said, as we go throughout the call, please feel free to say hi in the chat or leave any questions there, and we'll do our best to answer them there. So I'll jump right into it for the agenda for today. So first, we're going to have an overview of the SDK suite. That's going to be members of our engineering team, Vincent and Casper, going over the SDKs. Then we're going to have Fran talk a little bit about a recent announcement about coming to Arbitrum and Optimism. And he's also going to talk about the new TOGA system, which is something that we're really excited about. Last but not least, we're going to have Sam talk about the top projects from the DAO Global Hackathon. Some are winners, some are just some really great projects. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So we'll just have an open discussion about Superfluid, about your projects, or any questions you might have. So with that, I'm going to pass it on now to Vincent to share a little bit about SDK Core.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction, Riz. All right. So, oops. Okay, so today I'm just going to go over real quickly what this new SDK Core is, what it's about, and how it differs from the existing JS SDK. So firstly, some of the principles we thought of when building this. Ease of use. We wanted to ensure that it's very easy to interact with the Superfluid contracts. So developers who might not be Solidity, well-versed in Solidity can use JavaScript. We wanted to make it as easy as possible to initialize the framework class and everything, and be able to do everything, almost everything with the contracts just with JavaScript. Another third part was modularity. So if you want to initialize a subclass or a helper class without initializing the entire framework, you can do that as well. I would not recommend it for the most part, but if you're trying to do some advanced stuff or you have a reason for doing that, you can do that as well. And lastly, rapid iteration. So we're in the crypto space. Everything's very bleeding edge, and we want to be able to push out code that as fast as possible. And we're going to be receiving feedback from everyone hacking and building and making lots of fun changes over time. So I'm going to go over a few of the features that kind of differ from JS SDK. So firstly, the framework initialization is much simpler and much more minimal now. You only have to pass in a chain ID or network name and a provider. Just note that the provider has to have the same chain ID as your what you've inputted. You know, this is to protect yourself because like you might have a provider that's connected to mainnet, and then your chain ID is specified as a testnet, and then you're actually sending real funds, and no one wants to lose money that way. We also have support for both Ethers.js and Web3.js. You can either pass it in through a provider like here with this Ethers provider helper, or you can also just pass in a injected Web3 or Ethers provider that's given through Hardhat or Truffle. We also have a super token interface and IDAs and CFA helper classes. These new super token classes can be initialized via the framework. You can also initialize it outside by itself. And basically this allows you to do all the different token read write functions that you guys are used to. Superfluid, upgrading tokens, downgrading them, transferring, and also all the CFA and IDA read write functions. So getting flows, getting indexes, creating a flow, updating flow, all that fun stuff. And similarly, you can do this outside of the token class. The difference is that you just have to pass in the token that you are working with here. Whereas in this first one, you specify the token and every CFA and IDA function is off that token. One very new and cool thing is the query class. And this is, I wouldn't say it's completely new, but it's definitely quite different from the previous one in the JS SDK. In the new SDK core, the query class leverages the power of the subgraph, whereas in the previous one, we're just querying the events. This allows us to do a lot of very cool stuff, such as filtering, ordering, and pagination capabilities that didn't previously exist. And we also have a last ID filtering option that allows you to handle the 5,000 max skip capability. Another thing is that there's a subscription function which allows you to pull the subgraph for any new data which might occur over time. So whenever you make a change, you have the subscription function on, and it pulls the subgraph for new data every second or 5 seconds or whatever. And a little alpha leak. This is still a very early work in progress, and there's a lot more powerful features to come. So stay tuned. Operations and batch calls. So this probably looks very like, what is this? In the SDK core, there's a completely new syntax for executing transactions. Whereas before you would do something like sf.cfa.createFlow. Now you create some things called operations. And the reason why we decided to build it this way is that it makes it very easy to use the batch call feature. So maybe you want to, let's say, create 2 flows in 1 transaction. As you can see here, this first snippet of code just shows you how to create 1 operation and then execute it. And then in the second one, it shows you how to create another one and then pass it to this batch call helper with the framework and then executing this. And this allows you to do a bunch of cool stuff that while you could have done in JS SDK as well, it just makes it, I think, a little nicer and just improves the quality of life for developers. So some final words, this SDK is still in an early development phase. So there may be bugs, there might be breaking changes in the future, but you know, that's why we're here in crypto. We want to work on the newest, shiniest things always. And it's also important to note that this is being built for you guys, for the people who are building and hacking on top of Superfluid. And we really appreciate any and all feedback on the SDK. So just ping us on Discord, Twitter, whatever. We're going to answer your questions and help you as much as possible with your hack. And a segue into the next presentation by Casper. So the SDK core should honestly be primarily used for backend purposes. You should probably only be using it if you're testing your smart contracts out or doing some server-side stuff. If you want to build a robust production-grade front end, you probably want to use something like the SDK Redux. So without further ado, Casper.
Thank you, Vincent. Hey, guys. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
It isn't too small. It's okay.
Looks good.
Nice. Okay. So I'm Kaspar. I work for Superfluid Finance, and I've been building this SDK called SDK Redux. In short, it's a SDK for building production-ready apps on Superfluid protocol. So I'll jump into a quick introduction why I built this, and then I'll get to what it is in more detail. So I would like to talk about what is the current situation of most Web3 applications that I've noticed. I'm quite new to the space, but I've done a lot of experimentation with applications, and I see a lot of these really common mistakes that would be in Web2 world, but they are very, there's a lot of them in the blockchain applications. And I'll quickly list them. So first thing is there's really long load times because of Web3 calls. A lot of taps break easily. So if there's some RPC error, the whole application goes offline. Regarding that, there's usually pretty bad error handling. So if some query fails, again, the whole application breaks. And oftentimes when it breaks, you can't retry. You have to reload the whole application. Just yesterday, I was trying out an application that's been building for longer than Superfluid. I did a transaction, And after the transaction succeeded, the data didn't update on the tab. I had to do a whole refresh of the SPA application. The UIs are often jumpy. You know, you start loading and it's all like loading incrementally. Bandwidth usage is inefficient. The data is queried too much and duplicated queries. When there's too much data, the application breaks. The applications can just dream of having an offline mode because you have to think of it from the start when you start architecting application. There's no server-side rendering, it's all client-side. But if you want a production-ready, high-quality product, you probably want some server-side rendering. And the apps have nice landing pages, though. So we at Superfluid are guilty at most of these things, but that's fine. And I'd like to improve on that. So overall, I'd call, I'm being a bit mean here, but a lot of the Web3 applications are kind of just prototypes. But yeah, I'm being mean here because we're really early. We're experimenting with this new paradigm of finance. But some products, some applications are getting serious. And if you're building on Superfluid, you might want to get serious at some point, and you want to provide really good user experience. And if your friends, you show your friends who are not into blockchain, you want them to show them user experience that can rival Web2, the current applications that are on the web. And so an user experience you can be proud of, and user experience that's not a joke. I feel like I go around the community and what I see is that a lot of the common issues are becoming like an inside joke, but I'd like to really change that. So here, yeah, let's build products with great UI, UX, but the question is how? No, not yet. So SDK Redux will take care of these problems and these kind of tedious problems like tracking loading states, tracking the transactions, managing cache, which can really make applications a lot faster. Duplicate requests, like oftentimes there are components that do the same request and it's two queries to the blockchain or to the subgraph. Monitoring blockchain for data updates, that's the issue I had yesterday with the app I was using. Handling errors, so an error shouldn't break the whole application. And if there are some RPC issues or subgraph issues, you could retry that error. And also pagination for large datasets. And with SDK Redux, we'll future-proof this high-quality product development. We'll have good documentation. The SDK will evolve with the with the protocol.
Poll there.
Yeah, I got the poll. Cross-chain query capabilities. There's more and more cross-chain stuff coming into blockchain world and dApps. Persistible data for offline mode, replayable data for debugging, extension points for good logging, and server-side rendering. I'm using a lot of passwords. I'm sorry about that, but I just, I'm hoping this resonates with some developers that are coming from more of the traditional web development world. So yeah, how are we going to solve it? And we're going to solve it with the new SDK, which leverages the cutting-edge Web2 technologies, which are TypeScript, first of all, for really good development experience, GraphQL for efficient querying, and just easy to write query language, Redux for client-side state management, RTK query, which provides a lot of the caching capabilities, and React hooks, which make really easy to build UIs for the data you get. So enough talk. I'll show some of the SDK Redux capabilities. It's in early development, but I think it's already really promising. You can also go to this link, which we have here, SDK Redux netlify.app. And there's also a documentation page, which is SDK Redux docs netlify app. Okay, I'll go to the demo app. And this is the demo I like to do. I connect my MetaMask. So I'm connected. Here's my address. It's just a demo app, so it's not super pretty. So let's say I open up list streams, and here it already did the query to the database. A quick question: do you guys see okay my screen? Sometimes I get confused.
Yeah, looks good here.
Nice. Okay, so as you see, I clicked list streams, and I actually got all the streams from the blockchain. But if I paste my address to the sender, this is now showing just my streams. I can list a bunch of stuff, like everything, almost instantly loaded. So as you see, for my streams, there's pagination. So it's loading page 2. Now if I go back, it's instantly loaded because of automatic caching. So when caching comes up, there's always the question, how do we invalidate cache? How do we handle when cache needs to expire? It's one of the most difficult programming problems. So I'll show you that. Let's say I list my streams. I list my real-time balance for this super token. So I have this flow rate of -33. I'll make it a bit smaller because I don't have scroll bar for some reason. And here I can also see my flow rate is 33. I scroll down to see this option for updating a stream. I'll enter the receiver address. I hope I'm not scrolling too quickly. I'll enter the super token. And I'll put another flow rate. Let's say put this in here. And this is an option for all the operations of SDK query to wait for the transaction to complete before it allows me to do anything in the UI. So my MetaMask should pop up. It did. Confirm. The transaction is now broadcasted, but it's still loading here. If I didn't choose the toggle, it would have allowed me to broadcast multiple transactions. Here we have the transaction automatically tracked. So currently it's pending. Yeah, now it succeeded. And hopefully up here, it has already updated my flow rate for this stream, super token. And here also my real-time balance is updated. So SDK took care of all of this for you. I'm going to show quickly one more capability, which I think is really cool, is that so this was all like user interaction, but I can also monitor for events from the blockchain without actually being doing them from inside this application. So I go to our regular dashboard. I open up this stream. Should be the one. So let's say I edit the amount here. In this another application, another tab. Let's wait for it to succeed here. And once it does, my flow rate should update in this application as well. So transaction was confirmed. And in here, it's currently it has a little, I have set it to poll every 20 seconds. But once it receives the event from the blockchain, as you see, it updated the flow rate. So again, this is a common, real tedious problem of dApps, but we handle it in the SDK. I hope you find this cool. Try out the example app. I quickly show also the documentation we have. So there's this page where on the right, you see a lot of these regular functions like list events, list indexes, list streams. And for all of these, we generate the React hook you can use in your code. So it looks kind of like this, that in your code, we just type out list streams query, pass in the parameters, and automatically it is cached. It is and you get these health bars for all sorts of loading states. And when you do operations or just monitor the blockchain, this cache is automatically invalidated. So yeah, I recommend you look around this documentation as well. Yeah, I think I'm going over my time already, so I'll stop.
Yeah, thanks so much, Casper and Vincent. We're getting some comments in the chat, and people seem to already be using it and really enjoying it. Just from that poll that I launched earlier, 45% yes, absolutely plan on using the SDK suite. 52% said they maybe need to learn more about it. So that is that's an opportunity for us to share a little bit more about it, so people can learn more about it and know how to use it. Awesome. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to pass it off to Fran, who will quickly go over Optimism and Arbitrum, and also the TOGA system as well.
Yeah, I'll try and be as quick as possible. The TOGA is a great opportunity for me to kind of explain a bit some of the magic behind Superfluid, so I might take a bit longer, but I'll try to be as quick as possible. So first of all, as some of you might have heard, we had some pretty big news this week, which is we are now basically supporting the testnets of Arbitrum and Optimism. So, obviously Arbitrum and Optimism are the networks we've all been waiting for. They're the rollups, right? The optimistic rollups. We've been waiting for these for so long. It feels incredible that they're finally live. I remember when I was at a presentation of Vitalik talking about rollups in 2019, and it seems incredible to now be deployed on those testnets, right? It's just a really, really important moment for us. So at the moment, we're deployed on the testnets. And this means that we could support the mainnets. Obviously, there are still some things we need to figure out. But for those of you who were around when we deployed to Matic and XDAI, you'll remember that we actually generally want the community to deploy for us. So at the moment, we're still looking for launch partners for Arbitrum and Optimism. And as soon as we have enough interest from people who will actually use it, we will be deploying. We have some pretty good candidates, but if you do know anyone that's using Optimism and Arbitrum, let us know, introduce them, and we will talk to them and see if we can deploy together. If you haven't read yet, there's this article on our Medium, which I think does a very good job of explaining more or less why we did it and why we're excited about it. So definitely go and look at that. And if you haven't yet, you have to retweet this. It's very important that you do it. Every retweet brings more users to the magic of money streaming and towards Superfluid. Okay, next, I'm going to talk about the TOGA system, starting from the very top. So let me see, how do I play here? There we go. So what is Superfluid? Well, Superfluid allows you to do perpetual money streams. Perpetual, right? That's very important. It means they go on forever. Now, if you have a money stream that goes on forever, how can you put the money in, right? Like if I say $100 a month forever, that's an infinite amount of money. So Superfluid streams are under collateralized. By definition, there's no way you can put an infinite amount of money into a smart contract. So if streams are under collateralized, how do they work, right? If you think about it, most of DeFi is over collateralized, right? When you create a CDP on MakerDAO or you use Compound, you always have to put more collateral than you actually take out, right? In the case of Superfluid, it's the opposite. You put a tiny amount of money and you can open a stream that stays open forever. So how is this possible? Well, it's possible through a system that we call, so for a system that gives us a lot of capital efficiency and that we call a buffer. So this buffer is currently 4 hours on Matic and XDAI. And basically, this buffer is there to secure the system from potential losses and allow people to close streams. So who is closing these streams? Who is liquidating these buffers? And why are they doing that? Well, that's what the TOGA is for. So I'll go into that in a second. So imagine a normal scenario, right? You're Bob, you're using Superfluid, you want to open some streams to Alice, Carol, and David, you have $100 in funds, right? The moment you open the streams, your funds will start decreasing. But as soon as you open it, a buffer is set apart, right? This buffer is still part of your balance, but it's not visible to you. You can see it in the Superfluid dashboard. It's slightly hidden, but it's still there. It's still part of your balance. If you go, you close the streams, you get the buffer back, no problems. But if your stream stays open, right, it will, as your balance decreases, right, at some point, if you don't close your stream, what happens is your balance reaches zero, right? If Bob doesn't close his stream now, he's going to reach zero. He doesn't have enough money to keep sending money to Alice, Carol, and David. So what happens? Well, basically, when it reaches zero, if he still doesn't close his stream, a sentinel will come and close the streams. So sentinels are bots. They basically observe the network. They're always out looking for users who run out of funds. And when they do, they close those streams. And basically, when the sentinel closes the stream, Bob loses the buffer. So now, even if he tries to close the streams, they're already closed, so he will not be able to get the buffer back. And all the funds in the buffer go to the TOGA contract. So the TOGA contract is this basically centralized contract that takes all the buffers from users who get liquidated because they run out of funds. So the TOGA is a transparent, ongoing auction. And what it does is it assigns the job of running sentinels in Superfluid. So each token has a TOGA that assigns basically the role to do the liquidations, right? So all the funds, when a stream is liquidated, go to the TOGA contract, and whoever has the job gets those rewards. But if they don't do the job, they have to pay the protocol. And this is the reason why to get the job, which is called the PIC, you have to stake funds. So you stake funds, you get the job. When liquidations happen, you get the reward. But if you don't do the liquidations, you lose your stake. So it's a very new system. Not many protocols use systems like this. Maybe none do. But this is the way that we have found, which enables us to be extremely capital efficient, right? You don't have to over-collateralize your streams. We have very tight margins, right? 4 hours on a potentially perpetual stream is a very small margin. And this allows us to run the system, allowing you to use your liquidity for better things than just collateralizing a DeFi protocol. Now, how does the PIC become the PIC? Well, you become the PIC by depositing a stake, you put it in the TOGA system, and you become the PIC. When you become the PIC, after that, basically all the liquidations that happen will add to your stake. And if somebody else comes along and stakes more funds, they become the PIC, you get your funds back, and now they are the ones who get the rewards. So it's a very, very simple system. It's basically whoever stakes the most gets the role. It's always on. It's an ongoing auction. So literally every block, it could be someone different, right? It's completely decentralized in that sense. And it's live. So you can go and test out this link very soon. It's live on a different address for now. The DNS is still doing its job. But I can show you the dashboard in the meantime. So this is the dashboard for Matic, right? So for the Polygon network, for the token MaticX, you can see that this address has posted a bond or stake of almost 2,000 Matic, right? And they're currently taking out the rewards very slowly. So 71 Matic per day. So if you want to become the PIC, if you want to start receiving the rewards for the liquidations, you can go and deposit more than this amount. But keep in mind that these funds are at risk. If the job isn't done, you get slashed. So it's very important, if you do this, understand the system first. So I advise, if you're interested in this, go to our docs, read very, very in detail how this works, right? And you have to run some software as well. So it's not easy, right? This is more for kind of technical users, but it's important to understand that the system is there and that these 2,000 Matic are there to protect the system and to keep it safe. So if you go to this page, you can also see the latest liquidations. So you can see basically the latest users that were liquidated and the amount that went to the rewards. You can see this for different tokens, and this is available on all networks, by the way. So you can go and check XDAI, you can check the testnets as well, and soon you'll be able to check also Arbitrum and Optimism, which is very exciting. If you connect the wallet, you can then basically become the pick by simply posting a bond. So you post a bond, you decide an exit rate, and you can become the pick. That's how it works. And yeah, I hope more of you will look into this and maybe decide to participate in the system going forward. I know for a fact a lot of people were asking how this works, so I think it was a good idea to make an explanation on it. And maybe if anybody has any questions, we can take those at the end.
Sounds great. Thanks, Fran. So looking at the poll here, we have a bunch of people excited about us coming to Arbitrum and Optimism. 84% yes, and 16% said yes, and they know a project that's live on L2s that should start using it. So that'd be awesome if you guys can share that either in the chat or on the Discord. That'd be great. And then also looking at the Sentinels network, 70% participation, and a lot of people saying that they'd like to participate in it, 44%, but 50% say that they just need to learn more about it. So that's definitely something that we'll be sharing more information on, but like Fran said, just hop over to the docs to learn more about it. It is one of those more kind of advanced systems for users. All right, so I know that we're kind of running tight on time, but I'm gonna pass it off to Sam and he can chat a little bit about DAO Global Hackathon.
All right, guys, so I'll keep this short. We had a couple of projects that I asked to just present today from the DAO Global Hackathon. A couple of bounty winners and one project that was eager to present. We'll do another round of presentations at some point in the future. We had a few hackathons just kind of wrap up at the same time. So don't worry if you don't present today and you do the project, we'll find time for you to present for the community. But Mark, do you want to present token vesting first?
Sure. Yeah, can do.
Awesome. And then one thing, Mark, real quick, just in the interest of time, we're going to keep the constraint at like 5 minutes or less. So sorry to be kind of a stickler on it, but I just want to give other people
that's
time.
Fair. Yeah. No, I've gotten used to the 4-minute videos for these hackathons. So 5 minutes, you're being generous. All right, let me share my screen. Not bad. All right, everybody see that?
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so token vesting, what it is, it's basically a tool for, I guess, primarily DAOs or perhaps any team that has tokens that they want to vest to community members, team members, or literally anyone. So they have a certain amount of tokens they want to vest over time, and they want to stream it. This is a tool that helps them do that. So here's a bit of a wizard onboarding here. I guess my wallet is already connected here. So here you can choose the token you want to vest. So you can choose different tokens here. You can also paste in an address of any ERC20 token and it will work. So in this case, it found that a wrapper already exists, a super token wrapper exists for DAI already, so I didn't have to do that, but the wizard will actually create the wrapper if it needs to. It's a bit of a convenience step here. And then I can click to deploy a vesting contract. Of course, I should be getting a MetaMask pop-up, but I'm not, so. Oh. My computer is on its last legs. It's 9 years old, and my M1 MacBook Pro is in Anchorage, Alaska, on its way here to me. So I'll be running much faster soon, but I don't know why this isn't working. I can't even get my MetaMask to pop up here. Oh, there it goes. Right. There we go. It's gonna make me do it again. Oh. I don't know why I'm just deciding to melt down at this point in time. But,
it's all good. Do you want
yeah,
to just show some of the other tabs while it
yeah,
while it
I was gonna try to, if I could just get my MetaMask to open, I could well, I can try here, but oh, here it comes. I'm just switching users here to one that already has a sort of vesting contract set up. So the way the app works, it'll actually deploy a contract that's specific to your to you, and this one already has it. So here's the dashboard, slowly loading on this machine, and you can see a few things here. It shows the token balance, the current flow rate, and how many days of funding I have. As Fran just discussed, you know, there's you gotta be careful not to run out of funds, and so this tells you how many days of funding here. And at the bottom, a summary of the tokens vested so far and the tokens to be vested. So the wizard that we didn't quite finish there will take you through a screen like this, which lets you add a vesting flow. You enter an address, start date, end date, and an amount. This is a new thing suggested by Fran. Is there's two ways now you can spend. I had it like this initially, where you choose an amount per day, per month, per year. But Fran suggested that some teams may want to just choose a full amount and just have that bound by the start and end dates. So you can do either now. And here in the flows tab is the flows. One of the things that it supports is multiple flows per address. You can see here, numbers 2 and 3 here are to the same address. They're different flows. So you can think of a scenario where maybe there's a team member and they're sort of getting a monthly allowance of tokens, but then there's some sort of a bonus or a side project, and you want to set up a separate stream specific to that. So you can do that here and control those individually. It has the notion of a permanent or unstoppable flow and one that can be stopped early. So depending on your arrangement with the recipient, you can set it up so that you can close it early if they're stop contributing to the project, or if it's defined as an unstoppable one, then it won't let you do that. So here's the table. You can sort and filter this and things like that. You can close from here. What else do we have? Other tabs. There's a tab here to deposit funds into the contract, and the way I've set it up, at least, is you deposit the underlying currency. So you would deposit DAI, and the contract would upgrade it to DAI X to the superfluid. So that's sort of taken care of. So the user doesn't really need to worry about upgrading and downgrading. You can add team members who can manage the flows, so it's not just bound to the deployer who deployed the vesting contract. So that's the feature there.
Nice.
In terms of closing, one thing I was working on quite recently is using Gelato to automatically close the streams. So this is sort of a Gelato task. Gelato, for those who haven't used it, it's kind of like a on-chain cron bot kind of a scenario. So Gelato kind of runs its own sentinels. They don't use that term, but so you just specify some functions to check to see, and if the criteria is valid, then it can execute those. And this one hasn't quite executed yet, so I'm not sure why. This is currently on Rinkeby, and the reason is because Gelato supports Rinkeby, but not Mumbai. So that's why I'm running this particular one on there. That's a high-level summary. If there's any questions, or Sam, if there's something specific I missed you want me to discuss, I can do that.
No, it's good. That's a good overview. In the interest of time, we gotta give the stage to the next project, but this is cool. I think this could be a good utility for the ecosystem, and we're excited to see you continue working on it. Next up, we have Rao from our UMA bounty. We got a co-sponsored bounty with the UMA protocol. Rao, are you in the call?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, we can. Feel free to share.
All right. Can you see it?
Yep.
So I completed 2 bounties during this hackathon. One is for launching the UMA LSP tokens, and the second one is for distributing the tokens via Superfluid. So it's supported on mainnet, Cofund, Polygon, and Mumbai, but the distribution support is only for Polygon. So you can check the GitHub repo, and it has a detailed instruction how to launch your LSP, how to distribute it. So I'm not going to walk you through the launch, but I'm going to show you the distribution. So the first step is mint LSP pair. It's going to give you, it's going to mint 2 tokens, one long token and one short token per the collateral. And once you mint the LSP pair, you can also transform these tokens into the super LSP pair, so you can work with Superfluid. And then you can actually distribute these tokens via CFA, and you can also distribute these tokens to multiple recipients at once. Just click add recipient, and you're good to go. So once again, if you decide to use it, make sure you know what the UMA LSP is, and you can always check the example parameters on my GitHub. And also I want to say that I'm still working with UMA, and we're trying to make this more and more usable. So it might change a little bit in the future. And if you don't know what any of this means, any of the parameters, you can just check the description or check the UMA side, the Superfluid side, and write somewhere in Discord, and you'll get help for sure.
Nice. Nice work. Yeah, it's been cool to see the UMA team see this as something that's useful for their ecosystem. For those of you that aren't familiar with UMA long short pair tokens, right, this is something that UMA has created to help DAOs and organizations distribute tokens in the future based on certain KPIs, right? They have this thing called the KPI option token. And it's being able to distribute them using Superfluid is actually a pretty useful utility for their ecosystem. So it's good to see. Some of the UMA team has been excited about Ricochet as well, as Sunny on the call knows. So yeah, exciting stuff. So finally, we have David from Cofund. David, do you want to step up?
Yep, I can present it. Yep. Can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, I'm David. I work on this project with Hamid, who's like a blockchain developer, and Joe, designer. I believe they're also in the call. And I also want to thank Sam for the support he provided during the hackathon. So I'm gonna give like, my background is in marketplace optimization. I'm working mainly on like, I have a group of engineers and scientists building some new market mechanisms in Web3, mostly around DeFi. I'm gonna give a quick presentation of the problem we are solving, and then the architecture of our Cofund works. I'm not gonna go into the demo probably, maybe just a little bit at the end. DAOs are trying to solve like big problems in coordination, but today there is a big challenge related to like funding work for from the community, and especially financing and this work. So Cofund is a solution that essentially bridges voting, funding, and then the delivery of a project using NFTs, superfluid streams, and our own client. So essentially, we identified one main problem with funding projects in DAO, especially large projects. And we identified the obstacles that prevent the solution of this problem. So essentially, what we built is a tool that de-risks grant funding and allows DAO to fund projects with confidence. So the main problem we call incrementalism, meaning that there is uncertainty and on the value and on the outcome of large project, often a very long time between the when the projects get funded and when the project is delivered. And this in turns like causes a few problems. Like on the community side, there is incrementalism. So like focusing on a small project with deliverable and inability to essentially like take the risk and fund bigger projects. And then on the project side, essentially these project workers or like startups that are working in the community are forced to like split a bigger project in many small chunks. So there is grant fatigue, and then there is sometimes also the inability to do like some capital investment at the beginning that allows you to like actually have a team that is able to execute. So the first obstacle is obviously that there is just a lump sum payment. So this can be at the beginning or in retroactive funding at the end. That's also problematic because sometimes you need to fund at the beginning. So the main solution that Cofund uses to solve this problem is to use superfluid continuous payments, right? So essentially, the DAO treasury can stream the grant amount. It can give a lump sum at the beginning, but it can contextually also like open up a stream. So that's the first solution. And the second one is that there's going to be like some milestone reporting where this can also be decentralized with the community like reviewing the project, and like the stream can be updated with like osmotic funding, conviction voting techniques like that. So the second problem, as I was talking about, is that the review of the project is currently only at the end, exposed, after all the work has been delivered and after all the fund has been disbursed. So we also have a mechanism to do a multi-step evaluation of the project. And as I said, also connect this to an update of the stream parameters. And the way it works is essentially like we have a Cofund NFT smart contract, which the DAO treasury can transfer fund to. So this is a concrete example actually of a DAO that is running like structured grant rounds. You can think like Bitcoin rounds. Ocean DAO also have structured grant rounds. So for example, like when you start grant 12, you create a Cofund NFT smart contract, and you fund it with all the available amount for round 12. For example, it's like 500,000 Ocean, in the case of Ocean, like $1 million, the Bitcoin fund. And then essentially like all the projects submit proposals, the community votes with Aragon through the Aragon client. And then automatically when a proposal is approved, this trigger the Cofund NFT issues the funds to the project. And this is issued with the specific parameters of fund for that project. So like the fixed amount at the beginning and the rate that were in the proposal. Yeah, so this is the quick overview. And
Nice work, man. I don't know if we have time to go through the rest of the demo, unfortunately, but I think this is very, very cool. It stood out. And yeah, thank you for presenting it. We're excited to see you continue working on it. All right, Reese,
awesome.
I'll throw it back to you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. And again, sorry for cutting people off. It's unfortunate we just have so many things we want to share and so many projects we want to go over, but thank you so much for presenting. Definitely excited to see where you guys take these projects. So with only about 3 minutes left for the call, we really like to open this up for discussion. And of course, if you have some things that you're hoping to share this call, you can hop into the Discord and we can talk further about them there. We'd be happy to do that. But yeah, please feel free. If anyone has any questions about Superfluid or the projects, feel free to bring them up.
Yeah, I think for the interest of time, it would be great if you guys post your question on the chat and then we pick them up to answer them, just so that we can organize a little bit better than just open mic. So yeah, if you have any questions about what you've seen today or generally about Superfluid, just post in the chat and we'll try to answer it.
Okay, if there's absolutely nothing else, which it doesn't look like, I'd like to give the stage to Marcus Sadiqui. Are you there?
Yep.
Yeah. Next time, let me know before, so we allow you some time, but go for it. Show
yeah,
us.
sure. I thought
something very cool to them.
at the beginning. I just double checked because he didn't. Oh, he's back. Thomas is also back.
Yeah. Sorry, I had some internet problems, and yeah, we should coordinate better next time. So just a brief introduction. We are in the final testing stage of doing the first native super token bridging transfer via Connext. What you see here is the LeFi user interface for bridging between Gnosis chain and Polygon, and you see here the Miva token, which is our utility token for the Minerva wallet, which is generated by or was made by Didi as the first native super token, and Marcus is here demonstrating basically the transfer between the two chains in real time. We're basically sending Miva from Gnosis chain to Polygon and releasing it on the other side in a very nice and smooth fashion already. We have defined a structure maybe as a little bit background. You can't transfer a native super token via a normal bridge and expect a super token on the other side. So the regular bridge, ERC20 bridges, you would get some kind of not super token on the other side. And therefore we decided that we have the super token minted on both sides, and it is kind of put into the bridge. So basically it is released on the Polygon side as soon as somebody is bridging the super token over from Gnosis chain, and then it is available on the Polygon chain, or vice versa, of course. So basically what you get is a smooth transfer between those two chains for the super token with nothing in between, because basically it's only Connext what we're using and you're not relying on any kind of bridge protocol. You don't have any bridge operators in between. There is no additional security risk, which might stem from the bridge operators. And therefore we kind of went for this way of transferring the super token between the two chains.
Very cool stuff. Congratulations, and super excited that these are both native super tokens. So for who doesn't know what that means, it's basically a token that you don't have to ever wrap or unwrap to stream it. It's always streamable. It's like a next generation superfluid native token. So if anybody wants to issue a new token, that's the way to go. So you can stream all the supply, and as you can see, you can even transfer it cross chain.
It's
awesome.
Moving from Polygon to Xi takes like 1/3 longer than the other way around, but it works quite smoothly.
Sweet. Thanks so much for sharing, guys. That's awesome.
Cool stuff.
So we're now running over a few minutes, but I'm really glad that everyone joined. I'm glad that we could have so many great projects shared. It was really good seeing what you guys are up to. And if you had anything, like I mentioned, if you wanted to share or talk about or any questions, just feel free to hop into the Discord and leave them there. I know that this community call, we didn't get too much time to talk about any of your questions or ideas, but we'll be very active there. So just feel free to bring them up there.
I think we can take maybe 2 minutes for any pressing questions you guys have. Sure. If you want to open your mic and jump in before we close it. Yao is asking if we have any plans to create some DeFi protocols for super tokens. I think someone who has done that is on the go. I can see Sunny that has created Ricochet Exchange. So for sure there are some applications already live, but yeah, Sunny, if you want to just introduce Ricochet quickly.
Yeah, Ricochet is a way for people to invest with superfluid payment streams, for those of you unfamiliar. And our governance token, RIC, R-I-C, it's native super token like Fran was talking about, and it's currently got a couple of pools active on Sushi, on the Polygon network, and there's like a couple $1,000s worth of liquidity in there. People are trading, and yeah, there's LP pool for that. So if you're interested in trading some super tokens, check out Ricochet.
Cool. And maybe if Yao was referring more to Uniswap and others, just to have pools where people can use super tokens, that would be something interesting to have, so that you can use super tokens directly. But we didn't really see many pools up and running yet. There might be something on Balancer. But if anyone wants to create pools there, please reach out to us so we can help you out to understand how to potentially pull it off.
Well, maybe jumping in on this one, of course, Miva and Fraction token are in pools on 2 dexes on Gnosis chain, on Honeyswap and Symmetric. And of course, we are preparing the listing on QuickSwap right now. And preparing pools to be filled, as well as liquidity mining using streaming token farms, as we already have on Gnosis chain as well. So,
which is the power, I guess, of native super token, right, Thomas? Because you don't have the wrapping and wrapping, so you guys basically have just one version of the token, which means the token running through the network is the wrap version of it. And so there is no need to create super token as a different type of pool, which is quite powerful, I think, that not many projects really have.
Yeah, that's kind of relaxing if you don't have to wrap and unwrap and all that kind of stuff. So just move it into the pool and it's all done.
You can do things like the faucets, where you don't have to unwrap the things you get from the faucet anyways. So the one Diddy wrote half a year ago.
Cool. Any other questions, guys? We're really running out of time, and I feel like everyone needs to go to the next call. Cool. Well, no more questions. So I think we can wrap it up. Riz, do you want to do the honors?
Sure, guys. So thanks again. Please continue the conversation on Discord, and we look forward to seeing you guys in the new year. Hopefully you have a great Christmas, great holidays, and we'll see you back in January.
Bye, everybody.
Happy holidays, everyone.
You guys.
Bye, guys.
Holidays.
Yeah, bye for now.
Thanks for joining.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye, everyone.